Thank you, Ronan and Orna. I now recognize Ruby and Hagit Ken.
Thank you for having us today. Um, we are here representing our son, Itay Chen, 19, but we also are representing 160 hostages. And the problem that we have, Chairman, time is running out. I'd like to recognize amongst the hostages the 9 U.S. citizens that are still not with us: Liat Benin, Omer Nutra, Idan Alexander, Hirsch Goldberg, Poland, Sagi Dekelchen, Gadi and Judy Hagai, Keith Siegel, and my son, our son, Itay Chen. We urge you and the U.S. government to do whatever it can. Time is ticking, and it's not in our favor. Itay grew up as a dual citizen, both living in Israel and visiting family here in the United States, Plainview, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, Boston. And when he got to the age of 18, he joined the IDF, was also stationed at a base next to the Gaza border. Important to say, in protection mode, protecting a sovereign part of the state of Israel that is not in some sort of international conflict, and was abducted and kidnapped on that Black Saturday. We had initial contact with him, but as the hours went by, we understood this wasn't a typical Saturday of some missiles flowing from one side to the other. We tried to get in contact with his team members, with other members that saw him, but contact was lost. Pretty soon, 9 a.m. in the morning was the last that we had any contact with him. Initially, we thought somehow he's been busy, he might, make it out. But after not hearing from him for 36 hours, we went to the headquarters of the police as a missing person and tried to figure out if the authorities have any clue about Itay. He was defined initially as missing in action, meaning nobody was able to identify him physically in the field. He was not in one of the hospitals, not in one of the deceased lists. That gave us some hope. Maybe he'll show up. After 4 days, Thursday morning, 6 a.m., we got a knock on the door. Just to explain to you what that is, you have on the other side 2 high-ranking Army officials. Believe me, you don't want your enemies to be able in that situation where you understand you do not want to open that door. But you also understand that there's no other choice but to open that door where your heart is going 200 miles an hour. We here today are sitting as the lucky ones that got the notification from the IDF is that he was abducted, kidnapped by the Hamas terrorist organization. That's the lucky thing to get a notice. Ever since, we have no proof of life and no indication of his medical status. We just came today from the International Red Cross, explaining to them that the way that they operate in discreet manner is not the way that we expect them to operate in this case. They need to be vocal. They are the witnesses. They are the ones that see the hostages going out. They are the ones that need to be vocal and get the international community behind them. And explaining to the Hamas, they need to know and understand this is not acceptable by the international community. They crossed the red line by not providing medical attention or by allowing any type of visitation. And we urge the international community, this is not a U.S. issue. It's an international community humanitarian issue that all of the international community needs to get behind in order to solve this problem. We'd like to thank the Biden administration, the Qatar government, for putting in place this deal. This gives us hope. On one hand, we are happy for our family members, such as the Naftali family, for being whole again as much as possible. But there's also more work to be done. And we urge President Biden, the international community, to do what it can to get as many hostages out as soon as possible. The interdiction of the Hamas, that could wait for another day, for another hour. First, hostages out, then we deal with Hamas. And it's an important distinction that we, the families, want to convey here as well. To summarize, we live in a different universe than you do. It's difficult to explain, but all of us now are family members to this different universe that we live in. And we need you to do whatever you can. Holiday season is here. Unfortunately, we celebrated Thanksgiving with an empty chair in our table. We want to be whole again with our families. God bless America. God bless you. And hopefully we could be whole again and go back to our previous lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruby and Hagit. We now recognize